Hi guys, today let's talk about baby party ideas.
Hi everyone, I'm going to do some art that you've all asked me for many times here on the channel, which is baby shark. And with him, what I'm going to do is a box full of balloons. It will be beautiful, you'll see. Check it out with me. I'm G and this is the Buba DIY channel. Check out the description and go ahead and give us a follow. Welcome to the channel. You can find me on all social media platforms. Give me a follow there too, okay? So without further ado, let's begin. To do baby shark, I'm going to use balloons from So Hockey, who are sponsoring this video. So I'm going to use 5-inch balloons to blow up to between 4.5 and 6 inches. These were the colors I chose, citrus yellow and white, to make baby shark. But if you decide to do mommy shark or daddy shark, you could choose hot pink or blue. And your daddy shark will look great too. So let's go ahead and blow them up. As you blow them up, check that they are the correct measurement so that they look cute in our box. After blowing them up, remember to give them a squeeze, just like this. Guys, I had said 5 inches, but I'm blowing them up to 6 inches because So Hockey balloons are good quality and they will last and will blow up to 6 inches easily. Watch this, see how it fits through the hole perfectly. It's the correct size and it's well rounded. And now let's assemble. I'll leave the link to the template in the first comment. Print it out and after cut it out, glue together the parts. Begin gluing on the horizontal edge and then after glue the vertical edge. And look how cute it looks all assembled. After he's assembled, we are going to put him on our board. This board that I'm using is a polystyrene board. It's almost like a pressed polystyrene. This board is called Depron XPS and it is 5mm. You can also do this on cardboard or with foam board if you can find one with these same measurements. This polystyrene board is 1 meter in length, so 68 centimeters. To transfer the template onto the board, I'm using a pen. First, I stenciled on the outline of the whole template onto the board. Then I cut it out using a very sharp utility knife, and you can see that it is a good quality knife. It's not one of those weak ones. But whatever you have will do as long as it's sharp. In order to achieve the height and size of our baby shark, I need to glue together 2 boards. So first I glued them together using a glue gun, gluing between the 2 edges and sticking them together. And afterwards, sticking some Durex tape over the gap. You can use wide Durex, which I prefer, but I only had this thin Durex and we use what we have, so this is what I used. And after completing this part, I also needed some strips of the same board, strips of 15 centimeters in width. So I used 2 more boards to cut out the strips. So to cut out the strips, you need to have a sharp pocket knife. Choose a good pocket knife, guys, so you won't have any difficulties with this part. And I'm going to use my metal ruler because it's a whole meter long. Cool, right? And after you've cut the first one, you can use it as a template to cut out the second. And you can do all of your cutouts based off of the first template. There's a tip for you, making our lives easier. And with the strips cut out, I will need some strips that will make up his sides because he's a little oval in some parts. For this, what I'm going to do is use my ruler, and I'm not going to cut, okay? But I'm going to use the penknife to go over the strips in order to crease the board but not cut the boards completely. So I do this from start to finish with a distance of 3 centimeters between each one. The more narrow the curve you want to make, the shorter distance between these semi-cuts. And after doing this in a few parts, it's time to start gluing to our initial template. And for this, I'm definitely going to use a glue gun. So there's no secret here, you can take your time doing this using the techniques that you've seen here on the channel. Use very hot glue all around the larger template. Glue along its 5mm length and glue the strips along the edge. Do this all the way around the template on all edges. Join the sides together at the point. Cut only the part where you are going to turn the board. If you don't need to cut it, don't cut it. I'm going to speed through this part for you, but watch along in case you're unsure at any point, because when you see the process with your own eyes, you are much less likely to get confused. A great tip I can give you for this part of the process to help you in the sticking is to stick the parts on with masking tape as well, because this will mean that you don't need to secure the parts whilst the glue dries, so you're able to glue a larger area and stick the tape on in order to secure each part. After it's dried, you can remove the tape and it won't spoil the board. Go ahead and let me know in the comments if you like this, if you're enjoying it, and what you would like to see here on the channel. Look how cool this part of the tail looks. And so you will put glue along the edges, stick some tape on to help you out so you don't have to wait around for it to dry, and glue the edges together. Stick on some tape and move on to the next step. You see how when the board is semi-cut, it's easier for you to remove the part that you need without having to cut out a new piece. I stuck on the balloons using a glue gun on the board. Why use a glue gun? Because my glue gun is different. It has the option of 2 temperatures. So when the glue gun is at a low temperature, I'm able to use it on the balloons without the balloon bursting. But the high temperature would almost certainly cause the balloon to burst. It's never happened to me, but I'm sure that it must hurt. So please be very careful if you use a glue gun. You can find glue for balloons, but I have never tested it on polystyrene. So if anyone tries it out, leave a comment to tell me what I can use instead of a glue gun. Help a friend out. So after all the parts are done, all the sides assembled, I'm going to put the mold inside and again mark which parts will be white. So you can mark off the section using a pointed object or use a pen to make a mark. Once you've marked the template, you're going to cut out some strips, but this time there will be 5mm less. So the height of your strips will be 14.5 centimeters. And you can put these strips inside, gluing them to the side of your baby shark as well as to the bottom. If you need to use something to help you, feel free. An extra piece of polystyrene board and tape. I used tape and stuck the tape to the base of the baby shark and passed it over the strip to the other side, where I stuck it to the base again to help me hold the strip in place. On the edges, you can also do this so that it is curved, because here you won't have much to support it. The same way that you did one side, you will repeat on the other side, and you just need to follow the drawing. If you need to increase or modify any part, feel free to chop and change. and I finished just a little bit before the tail. Not the same as the drawing, but this is just a small detail that doesn't make a difference to the final product. Looking at it, you can see that it turned out very nicely. And look how the finished product has turned out. Very cool, right? It turned out really great, and now that it's ready, what I'm going to do is paint the yellow parts. And to do this, I used PVA paint. It's a paint used for crafts, so it dries quickly, and it's very easy to use. I would just advise you that as you are painting, you do from the bottom upwards, and you paint in the same direction from beginning to the end so that it doesn't leave any marks. And you can finish it off with a paint roller, which will even out the paint on your yellow section. For this part of the process, Barbara came to help me. She loves helping out and getting involved, and it's so nice to have our kids around, principally encouraging them to make art, create, do manual tasks. It's so great and really important for them. So let your little ones help out here too. After the side parts have all been painted, it's time to attach the balloons that we have already blown up. And so you will attach the balloons with the sizes that fit the mold according to the plan. In most of this larger section, I placed balloons inflated to 6 inches, and in the smaller section, which is in the fins, I placed balloons that were inflated to 4.5 inches, and between the two fins, a balloon that was 6 inches. The same amount of balloons on both sides. And also where they meet here at the end, I also placed a few. So we filled the tail with 4.5 and 6-inch balloons. And for the inside, the white section, we placed 6-inch balloons. And on either side, where it's slightly smaller, we placed a balloon that was 4.5 inches. Now it's time to cut out the template for the eyes and the mouth. So I cut out the template and went over it with foam sheets, both white foam and red. The red I used had black glitter, and this part that is a little different from the red, I stuck on red paper to give emphasis to the tongue. But it looks good. And to glue onto Baby Shark, I used a glue gun and glued them onto the balloons. Always checking at the front to see if it was crooked or not. And now you can just dance and get the party started. And to begin, I printed out my template, first the smaller template to use as a guide, and then the larger template to assemble so that it's nice and big. More or less 1 meter. I used a 5mm depron XPS sheet. This sheet is 1 meter and 20 by 1 meter 40. So it's bigger than we need, but to make the whole elephant, we're going to use 2 sheets because we also have the side parts to make, for which we will need 15 centimeter strips. But you can also cut out smaller strips, no problem. So after I've gone around the template on my boards, I cut it out using a sharp utility knife so that the board isn't left with rough edges. So just pay attention to your board to make sure that there are no rough edges whilst cutting out your template. After I've cut out the whole elephant silhouette, it's time to do the side sections. And your side sections will be the 15 centimeter strips I mentioned, also made of the same material. If you want to save some money for these sections, you can use a thinner board. And if you want your elephant to be even more charming, you can make these on a felt sheet and paint it as well. You can do this on either felt or on a depron XPS sheet. After you've cut out all of your strips, in order to make your strips more rounded, you need to make some light cuts across your strip diagonally. And make sure as you make these light cuts that you don't cut all the way through your board, just on one side of the board, in order that the other side is still connected, so that your board is more rounded and is more flexible. And in this way you can assemble your side sections in the curved parts of your elephant. After you've completed this section of rounding the parts, it's important for you to know that if you make cuts on one side of your strips, it will be rounded on the opposite side of the strip, where you didn't make cuts. So if you're creating an S shape, for example, which is curved on both sides, you need to know that you will make cuts on one side in order to curve the other, and then cut on the opposite side to curve the other way. I think you guys get it. A little confusing, but you get it. And now I want to know from you guys, where are you watching from? Write us a comment, let me know, because I'd be really interested to know. And coming back to our elephant, it's very important for you to know that you can acquire this template on my blog at www.bubaballon.com.br. So now that you've done all the cutouts, including cutting your strips to the size mentioned, we're going to go ahead and do this part at the bottom of the elephant. And you can leave it straight if you like, or you can follow the template, whichever you prefer, no problem whatsoever. You can choose the way that you would like to do this part. So in order to stick on this side section onto the board, you just need to use a glue gun, and to help you in this process, you can use some masking tape to secure the part in place whilst the glue dries. That way you don't need to hold it in place until the glue cools. So you're also going to use some masking tape for this part. And what I did is I took the measurements in the moment and went around gluing and cutting according to the template. You can also use a thicker paper to make the side sections, but the bottom part where his feet are, which is the base section that will go on the floor, I would advise you to use felt or depron XPS, that is 5mm, because it's where the base will be and needs to be nice and firm to be planted on the ground. After assembling the lateral parts, I marked the sections inside the template, cut the board and glued on these inner sections. I cut the board to the correct measurements on the part for the ears as well as the part for the feet. After this, I raised the elephant up onto its feet, turned him around, and I went ahead and put another piece of our board behind him just to give him some added support. The board was the same length of 15 centimeters just to help our elephant stand firmly upright. You don't need to do this part, but I wanted mine to be more secure, but it is optional. After adding this part on the back of the elephant, I turned it back to face me and I did the gluing on the inside section, on his feet and on the part of the ear, which makes his ear look really cute, doesn't it? After this, you just need to glue on some 5-inch balloons. You can blow them up to whatever size you would like. You can fill it with a load of little balloons, or you can put some 5-inch ones. Whatever size and color you would like to use. So go ahead and fill up your elephant with your balloons. Then once it's nice and full, you can use your glue gun on a low temperature. So 15 watts is recommended, but you could also use Scotch tape instead of hot glue, no problem. Without any further ado, let's get started. I started by marking out the cardboard, making the markings that I need for our 30 by 30 centimeter cube. So I'm going to leave the sizings here at the side whilst I'm cutting out, and you can start noting down the sizings of the first part. The first part is going to have 2 tabs, 2 30 by 30 squares, and 2 more tabs that we're going to glue on. Pay attention to the fact that there is a smaller square within the larger square, which is also where we're going to cut out. So the first thing I do is make all of my markings using a pencil on the cardboard sheet, and once I did all of the markings, I go around with my metal ruler and a sharp utility knife and start cutting it out. You can also cut it out using scissors, no problem, but with a ruler and utility knife, it is easier and faster to cut out. Remember that the tabs are the parts that you're going to fold to glue on to another template, and so to make sure that the tabs really stand up straight, it's important that you use the ruler to make these folds, and it gives your cube a much nicer finish. For this first square template, both the larger squares will also be cut out from the middle, their center. But there are other templates where one of the squares will not be cut out, so pay attention at this moment. Having done this template and cut out the outer and inner sections, I'm going to show you the other 2 templates to form our square cube. This is the second part of the template. Notice how only one side is cut out, the middle of the square. So it was made with 2 squares of 30 centimeters and also the tabs, and cut out on just one side. And this is the third template, which is also cut out on just one side. It will all make sense to you once we have assembled it. I'm also going to use some crystal acetate sheets. If you can find them size 30 by 30 centimeters, perfect. But if you can't find them this size, you can buy larger size like I did and cut them down to size using a utility knife and a metal ruler. I cut them out and glued the acetate onto my templates. So I stuck the acetate on the empty part of the template. It's very hard, so it makes the structure of our cube more solid. To stick the acetate onto the sheet, I used double-sided tape. It doesn't need to be banana tape, otherwise it will have a high relief effect, which is not our intention. So stick on your acetate paper with normal double-sided tape. If it's a little smaller than 30 by 30, no problem at all, because I cut mine out to 30 by 30 or 27 by 30. The ideal is 30 by 30 because it will be much better structured. I stuck on the double-sided tape all the way around and then stuck on the acetate. It was crystal acetate because it's transparent. I did this on all 3 templates, and have a look at how we do the assembly, how it will be done, and the position of the templates, just like this. Once I've positioned it like this, I arrange the templates in their places. If you don't follow the template guide, it is possible that you may have a tab that's stuck on the wrong side and it needs to be on the other. The first time I made this, I didn't follow the template properly, and so I had to switch the tab over. If you follow the template, you shouldn't have this problem, but if you need to, you just need to cut it off well and stick it onto the other side. You can use masking tape for this, that's what I did here. And I just needed to do this for one tab on one side. So with everything ready and in the right place, you just need to start sticking it all together. And this part was also done using double-sided tape. I put the tape on the side where I'm going to stick on the tab and started sticking on the tab. Notice how I assembled these vertically, and then I started closing the squares using the 3 tabs. So this is important that you pay good attention to where you will stick the parts together so that the base will be in the correct place. I put the part that is not the base section to the bottom and covered it over. The larger square that is not cut out and that has the 3 tabs is where you're going to fold it around, and so I left it till last. Whilst we're doing this, why don't you help out the channel by sharing this video and leaving a like. If you don't follow me yet, go ahead and give us a follow because there will be a lot of new things here on the channel for you if you like parties. So let's keep on making our cube here. Once I've done this, closed it nicely, close the lid, you will open it again and fill it with balloons, if this is what you want to do. I would suggest doing this with 5-inch balloons blown up to the size of your choice. Obviously not too much. Fill up nice and rounded with the color of your choice. And the tip I would give you for the letter in the middle is you can choose the font that you like and make it on an A4 sheet of paper. It won't turn out the size of a full A4 sheet, but you can make it to the limit and it will look great. You can even put a letter at the top and one at the bottom of the A4 sheet, and after you will cut it out and glue it right in the middle. You can also use double-sided tape if you prefer. And you can use this with various letters, whichever you want to add on. And once you've stuck on all of your letters, you can arrange it in your party decoration the way that you like. Here I made you some examples using love and baby for you to see that there are options of words. You can put someone's name, birth date or age. Feel free to do whatever. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to stick around here. Lots of love and see you next time. Bye!